contributed on all levels. The staying power of the Cuban government, okay? And we've done a very poor job from a public relations standpoint in letting the world know, okay, what atrocities and the things that the Cuban government have done. We cannot, and this has been my opinion for years, we cannot claim our rights under the Cuban Adjustment Act, and once we get our residency, have people going back to Cuba. That is, in my opinion, and I've said this before, and a lot of people don't like my opinion, but again, it's my opinion, we should have taken away the Cuban Adjustment Act years ago, and actually amended it to say, if you claim Cuban Adjustment Act status, and you go back to Cuba, you should lose your residency and lose your citizenship because then you've lied. That adjustment, the Cuban Adjustment Act, was designed for people that were running as political refugees and were not in agreement with the communist system. I'm a Peter Pan child, just so you know. My brother and I were the youngest of Peter Pan kids. I was 2.5. My brother was 9 months old. The only reason we didn't go to an orphanage was because my grand uncle and my grand aunt were already living in the United States. My family fought in the Bay of Pigs. My uncle was the camp director in Guatemala. His son, my mother's brother, was one of the executive officers of the infiltration teams of the Bay of Pigs. I remember as a child having the boxes of bullets stored in my garage that were being transported to Guatemala, and playing in the garage, and the bullets would fly out of the wood crates. I remember that. That has stuck in my memory, and I was 3, 4, 5 years old, okay? So I know what it is that I'm talking about when it comes to these things. My mother tells a funny story that when I was a child in Cuba, I was a gun runner as a baby, because she would place guns underneath not the crib, the baby carriage, okay? For the invasion and the anti-revolutionary forces, and because the milicianos would not search the baby carriage, she said that I was at the age of a year or 6 months, a year or so, that I was a gun runner in Cuba, okay? And that's a true story. So,
how can you imagine individuals here in exile that they took their properties?
Doctor, I cannot, for some reason, I cannot hear.
And then I know multiple cases that they bought their house they took from them, they restored the house, and they took it again. I know more than 12 cases that happened.
You hear all kinds of...
They bought the house that they stole from them, they restored it, and they stole it they took them a second time.
Yeah, you hear all kinds of stories, Dr. Bustamante, but also, let me tell you this, my uncle, just so you know, my uncle, who I was talking about, later joined the United States Army, and he retired as a full-bird colonel, Special Forces, from the United States. He died a few years ago. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you for having me.